Hey guys, I'm Dave Conord and welcome to FYR Fridays. FYR Fridays are where we talk about agent attraction on the eXp Realty platform. And FYR, FYR, stands for Fund Your Reason. It's my personal mission to help you fund the life that you are meant to live. So I'm really excited to talk with you guys today. I've been in the recruiting and recruiting coaching business in real estate for over 25 years. I've personally recruited thousands of agents, and I have helped companies build and recruit over 100,000 agents. Learned a lot on the path. We've hit all the bumps and the potholes. We figured out what works, and I'm here to share it with you so that you guys can build your downline and build your opportunity and bring others into this opportunity to serve them, help them fund their lives as well. Let's get started. I'm super excited today. We're going to be doing part one of two, talking about the 5 ways to become the go-to resource for agents in your local market. So let's get started. All right, number one. Number one, guys, let's get start at the beginning. You have to know your market. Okay, one of the things that I find agents do all the time, they're successful agents, all different production levels, and then they see the opportunity to bring others along with them and to build wealth through revenue share, and they rewrite all the rules, right? They think it's something totally different and they unlearn everything they know, everything they've done to be a successful agent when it comes to agent attraction. There are so many direct parallels. So if you're building your real estate sales business, one of the things you need to do is to know your market. You need to understand the consumer. You need to understand the buyers and the sellers, and it's no different with agent attraction. So number one, you need to know your market. You need to understand the agent mix that is in your market and what the needs are for each type of agent in your market. Okay, you need to understand the production levels. You need to understand how many agents are in each production level in your market. Every market is vastly different. I've been involved in agent attraction and recruiting across the United States and around the world, and every single market has a different mix and a different type. Okay, so sometimes there are areas where a lot of people are getting into the business and there are a ton of new agents. And then sometimes there are a lot of top producing agents in a market. Some markets, a top producing agent's 10 million, some markets, a top producing agent's 500 million, 300 million, et cetera, right? There's a big discrepancy in different markets. It's not always based on sales price, but market size and a whole lot of other factors. But you need to understand your own market or the market where you are looking to attract agents. Don't assume that if you're attracting from outside of your market into a different market, that market is just like yours. So you need to understand the agents that are there. You need to understand, break it down into some brackets. We talk about new agents and level 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'll get into that a little bit later. But you need to know how many agents are in each level of production inside your market. Okay. You also need to know the style of your market. That's another thing that I've noticed is that each market has a different style based on the Northeast or the South or the West Coast or the Midwest, right? You have all these different areas, and then each city has its own style and flavor, and whether it's more urban or suburban or rural or whatever it is, okay, understand what style. And a lot of times that style tends to go with how the some of the top producing agents are because people look at that and then they copy, right? Um, they see what's happening, they see what's successful, and then there are other people that say, "Great, I'm going to try that as well." Certain parts of the country just have different personalities, and so something that works here doesn't work as well there, et cetera. So understanding what's the style is it the is it the grind culture? Is it the much more of the by referral only, right? Are people banging out cold calls? Are they doing a lot of open houses, community parties, all of those other things? Understanding what is the style predominantly or of the different production groups that are in your market. And then also what brokerage types tend to be in your market. Some markets they have almost no what I call big box brokerages, right? There are no major brands. It's mostly mom and pops. And if they have some major brands, those are franchises and they're smaller office. So you may have a Remax or a Coldwell Banker or a Keller Williams, but it's a smaller office in that area. So it's more has the feel of a more boutique, small local brokerage, and a lot of other great agents who have hung their own shingle and have created their own small brokerage. Others, it's only those big names, right? Very few boutique brokerages and smaller brokerages. It's mostly just the big ones, and there's offices that have 500 agents in the office and that sort of thing, and everywhere in between. But the reason you need to know these things is this will feed into what agents are looking for, what they need, what they currently have access to, and what they don't have access to, what they might be looking for, et cetera. And the type of brokerage will determine what types of services are typically offered to the agents there, what the mindset is, what are agents attracted to, why are they there, and then what are they missing? Man, they look outside their market and go, I wish we had that. We just don't have that here. I heard that early days with Keller Williams when I was helping to build Keller Williams. I heard that early days in EXP, building EXP, where people said, I wish we had that here because our market doesn't have that. And I've been studying your model for a while. I've been watching it grow in other markets, hoping it was going to come here. And I didn't have access to it until we expanded into those markets. All right. So, I always say that to serve, you must first understand. So if you're going to provide resources and be that go-to resource for agents in your market, you want your phone to ring. You want agents calling you for help, information, and that sort of thing, just like you want your clients, your buyers and sellers calling you. You want your phone to ring. Come list me, come sell me, right? You want that to happen from the agent community. They have to think of you. We've heard that your success in real estate is directly proportional to the number of people when they think of real estate, they think of you. Well, it's the same with agent attraction. Agents have to think of you as the resource when they start to think, is there anything else out there? Is there other information I could find? I'm trying to grow my business. Who can help me? Who always seems to have the answers or the connections and that sort of thing? How do you become that person? Right. Well, you have to offer the things that they want. You have to demonstrate that you have and you know what they want and what they need. So first you have to understand what they know or what they want and what they need. Okay. So a couple of questions to ask yourself. One is, what are they struggling with? Excuse me. What are they struggling with? What are the things that they're trying to go from here to there? What are the common things? And it may be different, and it likely is different at each level of production. What are they struggling with? What are they trying to learn? What are they trying to figure out? What things will move them from where they are to where they want to be? What are the typical challenges of each one? Understand that for your market, understand that for levels of production. What are their aspirations, right? Not everyone has the same level of goals. In a market where there aren't a ton of mega producers, maybe that's not a big aspiration for a large percentage of agents. Maybe it is, and just no one's done it yet in that market. But you need to understand, you need to find out. A lot of that you're going to find out through conversations. You can see what people are putting out there on social media. You can see how they talk. You can see how they think. But really getting down to it is building those relationships and understanding. You just got to ask questions. The next one is, what is their next level? Where are they now? You may have an aspiration where eventually I want to be this. I want to get here. I want to do production here. I want a lifestyle like this. But that's great. But what's next? What's next? I'm here. What's my next step is to go here. Because a lot of times it's great to sit back and think about the big picture. Some of us are driven by big results and big opportunity and all of that. We get excited. It's that carrot that's out there. And we go for big goals with a big vision. Okay. But then you still have to take the next step. And that's where a lot of people trip up is that's great, but I don't know the path. I don't know what's my first action? What do I need to do right now to move me forward so eventually I can get there? And some people, while they may get excited, they like the big picture, that's not really what motivates them. What motivates them is that next step. Like, okay, that's great, but I'm not really you know, big dreams, like all this crazy stuff and all of that. I just want to keep producing. I want to keep growing. I want to keep expanding my business. So what's next? Okay. And then what's life changing for them? If they are just starting out in real estate, or maybe they're in a spot where they still have to do a dual career and they're spending a lot of time. I'm working at my job and I'm working at selling real estate. All of my extra time now is in this dual career, the second career. I'm trying to transition in, or sometimes I've even had to go back to my old job, which feels like a failure sometimes. It can. But either way, it means that you're giving a lot of your time to work, which takes time away from family personal pursuits, and just general not being working all the time. So what amount of business, what business increase or change would be life changing for someone who is on the cusp, like, hey, I'm selling enough, I can just do real estate full time, but I'm selling enough to pay my bills. I'm not socking it away for savings. I'm not preparing to pay for my kids' education. I'm not, building for my retirement, or I'm not getting to do the extra things I want to do or take the vacations I want to take or what have you, but I can pay my bills. So what's that next level that will go, now I've got some comfort. I've got a little bit of gap in here. Um, so it comes down to psychology. How do they think? Right? Learning how they think. And it comes from relationships, it comes from talking to agents and uncovering those things. But that's step number one. Step number one is know your market. There are lots of ways that you can understand those things, but ultimately it does come down to discussions. So before you come with solutions, before you become the go-to person, the best thing that you can do is ask questions, is just care. Care about the agents in your market or the market that you're attracting to or from. Care about them, meet with them, just say, hey, I want to learn more about your business. I've been seeing what you're doing. Seem like a great, if you don't know them, seem like a great agent, seem like a great person. I've just learned in our business, having these relationships with the other agents in the market just makes sense. It's always beneficial for both of us and for our clients, right? It always leads to more business. It leads to better opportunities. It leads to better interactions during contracts and going all the way through the closing process when we already know each other. We already have a relationship in advance. Maybe it's, I want to learn from you. Would you give me a couple of minutes of your time so that I can learn from you? Okay. There are lots of reasons to reach out to them. I just told people, listen, it's my goal to get to know all of the good agents in this market, because I found that some way, somehow, that's going to lead to opportunity for both of us. So I'm not recruiting, if they say, well, I don't want to change offices. I don't want to be recruited. I don't want to whatever. It's like, hey, I'm not recruiting you, and I'm not asking you to change companies. I literally just want to get to know you. Right. And my goal is to help other people be successful. So if in our interactions, I find a way to help you that has nothing to do with changing companies, would it be okay if I offered that? Maybe it's a connection I've got, a relationship I have, an opportunity I know about. It could be something as simple as something cool that your kids always wanted to do. And oh my gosh, I know someone that does that stuff. I could help, do that. It doesn't have to be real estate related. It's just relationships. So build the relationships, get to know the agents in your marketplace, be purposeful about who you meet with, right? Look at who you're attracting and meet with agents in the different groups so that you have an understanding of those different groups. All right, so all of that is step one of five. Okay. Know your market. So once you know your market, you're going to take some time to do that. But as you're gathering it, you're taking notes and you're putting it all down and you're figuring it out. And you're putting people into your database, right? And you're putting in your notes from your conversations. So you have all of that and you can recall it later, because now you're going to feed into that, right? Once you know what they want and what they hope and what they fear and all of that, now you're going to come from contribution. Okay. So step two is providing the information, the tools, the resources that they want and that they need. Okay. And those things aren't always the same, by the way, right? I've found that a lot of people, they want this, they think it's this. This is the magic pill. This is the thing that's going to solve all my problems or be my solution. This is what I want. And if you don't offer them some of that, then they won't stick around long enough, or they won't listen to you to then get what they need. So sometimes we know maybe we're farther down the road, or maybe we've been through where they are, and we say, what you really need is this. They don't want to hear it, right? I just need this. Just give me this. If you can give me this, that's great. So I'm like, great, I'll give you that. Oh, and by the way, let me share with you this. Okay, so that creates that opportunity. So step two is providing the information, tools, and resources that they need. So let's first talk about what agents typically need at different levels of production, and then we'll talk about how to access the stuff that you can give them. Because I'm not a brokerage. I don't have all the tools and resources. You have access to everything that they need. So we'll talk about that. Excuse me. All right, new agents. So new agents are typically looking for three things: skills, business basics, and confidence. Okay, you're first getting into the business. You need to learn the basic skills of doing real estate. Okay, it's researching information. It is like where to find the contracts, how to write a listing agreement, how to write a buyer's agency agreement, the scripts and different conversations, how to have that conversation, how to price a home properly, and go through and figure all of that out. I mean, all of the things that I wish was taught in real estate pre-licensing courses, but we know it just simply isn't. Um, learning how to learning how to sell real estate, learning how to serve your clients, learning the basics of how all that works. That leads to that last one, which is confidence, right? Once you feel like you know the things, you have confidence. I have interacted with so many new and newer agents who didn't generate business and get leads and serve customers that they could have because they lacked confidence, right? They never took the steps to put themselves out there to actually get a seller or a buyer because they were afraid they were going to mess it up or they didn't know what to do. And so they were getting ready to get ready all the time, but they never had the resources to quite build that confidence to just go. Or they felt like if I got it, I don't have enough support around me to be able to serve them and not make a mistake and mess up. And then they go, well, then I'll ruin my reputation. No one will work with me, and I'll kill my business before it even gets started. So they never get started. So new agents are very often looking for all of the skills and the scripts and all of that just to be able to practice real estate. Okay. Also, you have all of the business basics. So many people get into real estate who have never been entrepreneurs. They have never been business owners before. They may not have a business degree. And again, even with that, until you've gone through it, there's a lot you don't know. So structuring a business, those of you that have gone through and built your business, and you understand all of those simple basics, just setting up your financial structure, setting up your little things like your email and just everything about how do you brand yourself, right? All of those things, what's allowable in your state. Every state is different, right? Some you can do a team name or business name that's different than your own. Some require your first and last name as it shows on your license to be in anything that you put out there in your marketing and advertising and everywhere in between. So what can you do? What should you do? How does it all work? How do I brand myself? How do I structure my business? How do I set it up properly? Taxes. I mean, all of those things, right? Hey, let us help you set yourself up for success from the beginning. It's a lot of things that people don't know. And really at that stage, you don't even know what you don't know. So offering those things, that's something anyone who's been past this phase can reach back and help someone who's in that phase. And they're looking for it because it's just not being taught out there very often. Okay. And then confidence. Those things breed confidence. That builds confidence for a new agent. And when you have the right person with that right desire and that right drive behind them, a why that's pushing them, you give them confidence, then just get out of the way. They're going to run, right? They're ready. They just need the confidence to get going. All right. So those are new agents. And we're going to talk about level two agents. Level two agents, they're not new and they've closed a few deals. So they've got some of those things out of the way. They've gone through the process of working with a buyer, a couple of buyers, maybe selling a listing or a couple of listings, right? They have some deals under their belt. They have some of the basics structured and set up in their business. Okay. So at that level, agents are typically looking for three things: leads. Okay. I have my business structured. I have it set up. I've worked with a few clients. Now, if I want to make a living out of real estate, I need to get more business. How do I get leads? How does this work? Okay. So that's typically a primary at this level and really and beyond, right? But typically you get it under your belt, you know how to go generate leads after this. So generating leads. How do I get leads? Where do I get leads from? I first got my license. I told everyone I was licensed, and the few relatives and friends that I knew that were thinking about buying or selling real estate have worked with me. I got those under my belt. Now what? Where does the business come from moving forward? And how does it happen? What should I be doing? What should I not be doing? Where should I be spending money and not spending money, et cetera? All of that. Big concern at this level. Systems. Systems is number two for this level because now you're going, okay, I need to start having a structure to how I run my business. So this is kind of that next level of the business basics, right? So this next level is starting to put in some business systems and processes. So Putting systems in place is super critical at this point because you really can't build from here forward if you don't have systems. You run out of capacity to handle the business um, really quickly. You don't serve your clients at the highest level and that sort of thing without putting these systems in place. So that's very key. And they're starting to notice, okay, it feels like the first time every time. I've done a couple of deals. I'm getting ready to do my next one. Uh, don't really have a system to this. Okay. And then the third one at this level is the path. What's my path forward? I got all excited. I got my real estate license. I got my first few deals under my belt. Now I'm starting to create my business. What should I be looking for? How should I? So I'm putting systems in place and I'm looking to generate leads and everything else. What is what's the path in real estate? How do I build this business? How do I scale this? What is that opportunity? And that also creates hope, right? So if you have a path forward, because this is also the time where it's easy to get discouraged. New businesses fail, right? Inside of 5 years, so many, that high percentage. Same thing with new agents. We know that new agents, a massive, massive percentage of new agents get out of the business within 18 months of getting licensed, right? Most people that get licensed are out of the business, no longer licensed in less than 2 years because there's a lack of hope, there's a lack of confidence, a lack all of these things that we're talking about, and they lack this hope. When you have a path forward and you understand how you are going to build this, now you can start at least seeking out the information to go do those things and move along the path. If you don't understand the path in building a real estate business, you have no idea where you're going. I mean, it's like plop you in the middle of the desert and say, go, go find water, go find civilization, and you don't even know which direction to turn or to start walking in. So that's for level two agents. Level three agents have gone beyond that, right? They've started to get some of the things in place, some of the systems in place. They understand how to generate leads. They have the general path forward on what they're doing. They're starting to close a few more deals. So level three agents are looking at expansion, leverage, and finance. Okay, so let me explain. Now they've got the leads, they understand that general portion of it, but now they need to go build their business on that. They're at that point where, okay, I'm closing deals, I'm able to generate leads, but I need to make a living out of this, or I need to expand the living that I'm making, et cetera, right? Maybe this is the point where they're getting into real estate full time, or deciding whether or not they can stay in real estate full time, and they're looking to expand their business. They're looking to increase the leads. They're now at the point where they can start to get repeat customers, get the referrals from clients and that sort of thing. And they're starting to establish their business. The first two levels, they're really getting their feet wet and figuring it out. This is where now, okay, I got my legs under me now. Now I need to start moving forward. I need to start growing my business and I need to understand what that looks like and go build it. So the concept of expanding their business, this is scalability. Okay, so that's number one. Number two is leverage, right? You may start off with technology leverage, right? You may even get like a transaction coordinator who's not on staff, but someone that you utilize from a company that provides that. So I've got someone to handle that and take some of those things off my plate. May use a VA for certain things for administrative stuff. And again, it may just be technology. It may just be, using Fixer or some of the other tech that's available to you, getting better with your CRM and, whichever the three CRMs that you chose, right? And understanding how to leverage that and how to increase your ability to serve clients. Because as you start to get more and more deals, we know how this goes, right? When you say, okay, great, I closed 12 sales last year. I doubt that you closed one a month, right? Oh, well, that's like one a month, but it probably didn't happen like that, right? You probably closed three and four and one and then zero for a long time, right? Or two and three and two and right. It's concentrated during certain times. And typically what happens is during those times, right? I went from like, maybe having one at a time to worry about and handle. And I felt overwhelmed at that point because I didn't know it all, right? And I was figuring it all out. Well, now I've got two or three and maybe a couple of other clients that I'm working with. And these two clients both want to go look at homes and they both don't know what they want. I've been showing them properties, and how do I juggle those two clients? And I've got one under contract over here. Right. And now I've got inspections and all this stuff, and I'm trying to remember the dates on the calendar and make sure we hit the deadlines and that sort of thing. And so without leverage, even a small amount of business, especially when you're new and you don't have your systems in place, can feel overwhelming, especially when it hits all at one time. Okay, so that's leverage. Excuse me. And then the last one is finance. Okay, with finance, then it becomes how like I needed this, I needed that, I started doing this, I paid for leads over here, I did whatever. There's probably things coming out on the credit card that they forgot they had even authorized to come out on a regular basis on the credit card. And so, how am I structuring my finance? What about taxes and everything else? Are we remembering to do our taxes? Are we remembering to save for taxes? Are we filing quarterly and all of those things? So at this level, now you're starting to make money selling real estate, and having that structure in place is really important. Okay. Again, this is part of that business process. We have the business basics, you have your business systems, right? And now you have your financial systems that you need to put in place, and you need to budget. How much of the money that you're making are you redirecting into your business to grow? So this is agents at level 3 trying to figure out all of these things. Right. Um, and then we're going to move to level four agents. So level 4 agents have that all of those things in place. Now they may not have them all done, right? Keep in mind that some people, increase production levels, and they do it at different speeds. Some people have been in the business for 1 year and they're producing at level 4 production. Some people have been doing it for 10 years and they're at level 2 or level 3, right? So, the saying is that there's a difference between 10 years of experience and 1 year of experience 10 times. Okay. Some people just never put some of these things in place. Um, if they've been doing it for a long time, typically it's their own fault. They just haven't sought it out and haven't put it in place. But for many, they just don't have access to the resources. They haven't had someone who could take them through this. Okay. There aren't a ton of managers out there that have built highly successful real estate businesses, thriving, dialed in lead generation, dialed in leverage, dialed in systems and structure and all that kind of stuff like that. And now just want to give back and serve other agents and teach them how to do it. Okay. Unfortunately, it's a lot of the managers that are out there, and this isn't a dig on managers, a lot of amazing managers that love their agents and help them the best they can. But they're, they don't, if they don't have that level of experience and they haven't done it themselves, the agents in the office don't have anyone who's been there to teach it to them. Even if they could teach the concepts, right? They're in a company that provides training and everything else. And so they go, yeah, I know, I've taken the classes, I know the concepts. I never actually did it myself. There's a difference. There's a difference between intellectually knowing the information and experientially going through building the business yourself, and kind of getting the scars along the way, figuring out what works and what doesn't work, and saying, I did it this way, and when I tried this worked better, right? There's a difference. All right. So for level 4, now we're starting to look at time management. Okay. Time management is huge here. We're starting to get into, okay, I'm busy. I'm selling a lot of real estate. I've got a lot of business. I may even have some team members or some staff. So now I'm in management as well as handling my clients and generating more leads and everything else. And when you start to get this level of success, these are your top producing agents in your market. When you get to this level, okay, what I've typically found is you spend most of your time, the early days of building a business, and you are trading time for money. Okay, you're trading time for money. You're giving up the time on your calendar to go do the things that make money. At some point, you get to overwhelm, burnout, lack of scalability, whatever it is, and it's the inverse. Now you're willing to trade money for time. And that's when you start to hire people, have staff, buy certain things, feed the business, or even just refer business out. Like, hey, I'm just not going to handle this one because I just don't have the capacity to do this right now. Okay, so it starts to go in that way. So time management is really, really key. And it's amazing, but it's just so they don't teach it that much. So many people don't have great time management skills, calendaring skills, and stuff like that. As someone who scheduled appointments with agents on a daily basis, over sometimes my own agents in the office, and to meet with them and to go over and coach them on their business, sometimes with most of the time with agents from other companies, to meet with them and talk about opportunity. I would talk to them and they would say, yes, next Tuesday, 10 o'clock, perfect. Next Tuesday, 10 o'clock, great. Next Tuesday, 10 o'clock, they don't show up. They never put it on a calendar. Like I guess they just expected themselves to remember that next Tuesday at 10 o'clock we had a meeting, that they had a meeting. Um, and I'll call them and be like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot. I'm like, how do you forget? Put it so like, what if I was a seller, right? What if I wanted you to come talk to me about selling my house? What systems are in place? And these were great people, great agents. They just didn't have that structure in place for time management. And it's really easy for to be the tail wagging the dog, or your calendar is just beating the crap out of you and you're running all over the place and you're exhausted because you don't have structure to it. Okay. So that's key. These are something that that level agent typically wants. The other one is energy. Energy is the next one for level four agents. And by that, I mean that you start to get worn out. You're a top producing agent, you're selling a lot of houses, you got a team, you have whatever. When you first start, right, you're paddling. I'll use this example. You're in the kayak or whatever, and you're paddling ferociously. You got big goals and you know where you're headed and you're all excited. Right. After a while, it becomes like the old Dunkin' Donuts commercial at time to make the donuts, right? Every morning, got to get up, got to do these things. How do you keep your energy level really high? How do you keep your enthusiasm really high for all the stuff? Let's face it. Okay, this is a really fun and amazing industry. And it's a real great gift to be able to serve clients, work with agents, but it's tough. It's tough sometimes, right? And the market has been really frenetic and a little bit funky for a long time. A long time. I've been doing this for over 25 years, and I've been through lots of different markets and crashes and explosions and all of that sort of thing. And the market for a while now has been less predictable than it's been in the past. There's been a lot of garbage out there, a lot of noise, disruption and all that kind of stuff, but it's just been a lot of craziness and a lot of uncertainty and the rates and the everything else, right? And so that is something where it can start to wear on you after a while. And it may have nothing to do with those other things. Maybe it's just the fact that, hey, I've built this business. I've got a thriving business. Now I'm a business owner. What do I what do I do with it now? What's my place? It used to be serving clients, working with buyers and sellers. Now, I'm really kind of a business owner position. What's next for me? What's next for me? How do I keep that energy level high, my enthusiasm high when things start to wear on me, or just because I've been doing it for a while? How do I have that same level of excitement, enthusiasm that I had when I first started? And then the third one for this group for level four agents is success, right? This is your opportunity. You hear like whatever years it is, and I've seen various years, but like these are your peak earning years. And that's stressful for people to hear. But like, this is your peak. I mean, I don't buy into that. Any time in your life can be your peak earning years. So it doesn't matter how old you are, but you hear that. And when you hear that, you go, oh my gosh, this should be my peak earning years. But when you get to this level in your business, you feel like, okay, I built my business. I should be this is what I should be setting myself up for my future, my kids' future, whatever it is. Okay. This is that time I want to build success. I want to make hay while the sun shines. We're doing a lot of business. Unfortunately, a lot of businesses aren't quite set up properly. I know a lot of teams where the team leader is making less money now than when they were a solo agent because their structure is not very good. Okay. And so now they're frustrated and they're looking at and they want to figure out, I look successful on the outside, but I'm not feeling successful. Maybe they have imposter syndrome, or maybe just their net income isn't where they want it or need it to be, and they can't figure out how to go down that path. Okay. So I've built business. I can work with buyers and sellers. How do I build true success, lasting success, right? Success that funds my reason, right? And then finally, you have your top agents, right? The agents who have really hit success and built business at a really big level. These are your level fives. So level fives are seeking something a little bit different. Maybe they have a team, maybe they're a massive solo agent, or they have some admin and that sort of thing. Maybe they have a big team. Maybe they've just done really well in real estate. They've built a big business, and I've heard a saying, I'm trying to think of which, I think it was the CEO of Coca-Cola a number of years back. And I may be misquoting the individual, but they said if the first half of my life was about success, I want the second half of my life to be about significance, right? And significance, it wasn't personal significance. It was about building a legacy. It was about giving back to others. It was serving others, making an impact in the world. So the first half was sort of about me. It was building my business, building my opportunity, building wealth, all of those other things, right? I was focused on building something that was successful. Okay. And that's great. It's a great focus. If you're building a business, you should be focused on building it for success, right? But once you build success, what do you do with that? What do you do with that once you've built success? And this is typically the mindset for these level five agents. You find a lot of level five agents getting into coaching, um, and doing some other things. They start to speak on stage and that sort of thing. They want to give back. They want to share. Hey, I found the path forward. I figured this stuff out. I made mistakes along the way, and I want to share with you all what I did. It's a tremendous opportunity, and it's really great for other agents in the industry to hear from people who have gone before them, who can then reach back and just say, hey, I've been down your road. I'm going to tell you where the speed traps are. I'm going to tell you where the potholes are. I'm going to tell you where the dead ends are, which roads are closed for construction, right? So that you can keep going on the right path, which is awesome. But they're seeking for opportunities to create significance, right? They want to do that, but it doesn't mean they have an opportunity to do that where they are, or they know how to do that, right? They just feel it. Okay, so that's one. And the second one is leadership. They're looking for leadership. How do I lead? Okay, maybe they've built a team and they have a bunch of people, but if they don't, if, if you haven't been in a leadership role and you haven't trained on leadership and studied it and had opportunities to go learn about it and see great examples of leadership in business and in life and everything else, leadership isn't, you can naturally be good at leadership, but so I think there's a certain amount of, like, some people are better leaders than others just from their behavioral style, and their mindset. However, if they don't have the right skills and the right knowledge to do it, they're not going to be the best leaders that they can be. And so if I've built a big team and I've got a group of agents that sell, it doesn't mean our culture is great. It doesn't mean I'm supporting those people the way I could be supporting them. It doesn't mean I'm driving them to success. It doesn't mean I'm helping them achieve their potential, that I'm making it a great environment for them and all of those things. I want to be a great leader, right? I have the opportunity now to serve other people and to help all of us do well together, whether it's in real estate or out of real estate. I have risen to a certain point, and now I want to develop my leadership. Where do I go to do that? Right? What's that opportunity? And the last one for level five agents is exit. Exit, right? You build a big business. There's a couple of things. Sometimes it's, hey, I built this. Check, right? I did it. Achieved. Now what? Okay, I'm ready to step out. I want to step out, whether I want to sell my business, I want to fully leverage it. What is my exit strategy? And it doesn't mean you're aging out. Like, you don't have to sell real estate until you retire and then be done. You don't have to build it, do whatever. Think of all of the great companies, these great startups that built these startups and then they sold their company for hundreds of millions of dollars or billions of dollars, and they're in their 20s. And then you know what they do? They go do another one, right? They go do another one, then they go do another one. They do another one. They have more resources. They have ideas. They've learned a lot. They have other people they can partner with now who will listen to them, et cetera. Right. So that's some people are just looking for an exit soon. That's one of the great things about revenue share is that, you can build a great successful sales business, leverage it, have other people help operate it for you, and then build your own virtual brokerage on the EXP platform, right? So you can do that. It's leadership. It's business building. It's still kind of a sales. It's that conquest type thing where you're converting and having conversations and needs analysis, and it kind of fills that innate need that a lot of us have, to keep building something. But you do it in an awesome platform in a great community with a lot of really good people, which is why the EXP platform is so attractive to top producers and achievers. It gives them the exit, the what's next. They're not getting out of the real estate industry. Now, maybe they do want to get out of the real estate industry and they want to go into, I know people they'll get into tech platforms, they'll get into coaching, they'll get into something entirely different. I just want to go build another business. Okay. right? At some point, top producing people are looking for, okay, I've built this. I want to have a monetary return from it, but I also want to go tackle what's next. And sometimes it is hey, I've done. I loved it. I didn't want to get out. I wanted to keep building my real estate sales business until I didn't feel like doing it anymore, or couldn't do it anymore. But what's my exit? What do I do now? How do I exit out of this? So that could be the case as well. But that's level 5, right? All right. So just real quick, I'm going to review those new agents' skills, business basics, and confidence. Level 2, leads, systems, and the path forward. Level 3, expansion, leverage, and finance. Level 4 is time management, energy, and success. And level 5 is significance, leadership, and the exit strategy. All right, so those first 2 steps towards becoming the go-to resource for agents in your market, okay, are know your market and then provide what they're looking for, right? So you know your market, you know their needs and their aspirations and everything else. And then you prepare to provide what they need by really understanding the key things that they need. Okay, so those are your first 2. Now in session 2, I'm going to give you the next 3, and the next 3 are going to be supplying all of these things that we're talking about. What are specific ways that you can supply all of these things, no matter what your knowledge level is, experience level personally, and everything else? I'm going to give you things that you can do, actionable steps that you can take to become that resource for every single person on this list that we've talked about today. All right, y'all. Hey, just remember, above all else, care about other people, build relationships, ask questions, be curious, be more interested than interesting, and the rest will take care of itself. People, if they see that you care and they see that you want to help them, they're looking for help. All right, guys, have a great one. Go have conversations.